First Take is brought to you by Haynes X-Temp Technology. When you're cool, you're comfortable. Macy's. And Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Own it on Blu-ray December 15th.
This tweet from Shaq here. Stephen A. Smith, I like that suit. Your new name is Downtown Stevie Brown. He said you're smooth. And Skip Bayless, you always dress immaculate.
He said that?
Yeah,
Shaq
he
said
did.
that? You know what?
Shaq
You know what?
I want to break. You can't comment.
I'll get Shaq in a second. I'm going to get Shaq in a second.
You ain't going to do nothing, Stephen A. You ain't going to do nothing.
Oh, that was awesome.
You ain't?
He's right. I ain't gonna do anything. What the hell am I gonna do to Shaq?
I don't know.
I could talk on the phone. We spoke yesterday, but there's not much I can do.
You did?
Yeah, he was on my radio show.
Oh,
yeah, he was on my radio
so
show.
that explains.
Not only that, plus I'll see him in a few days. That's my man. You know that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think Shaq was bored today. He didn't have much going on.
You know what? That's not true. He watches the show every morning.
Does he really? We appreciate that.
The whole TNT crew do. They show us a lot of love.
Wow.
They really do, all the time.
We appreciate it.
We do.
And Ernie, by the way, Ernie sent me, I saw him a few months ago. He told me to send his best to you.
Oh, appreciate that very much. He is the best. He is the man.
He is the man.
Speaking of basketball, we thought the Pacers might get the best of the Warriors. Guys, when is this going to end?
It could end Christmas Day. I have no idea at this point because as long as the Warriors are playing the way that they're playing, they're not going to lose. It's just a matter of when are they going to stop playing this way. You're going to take nights off during an 82-game regular season. Harrison Barnes is already down. Klay Thompson could be out. You just never know over the course of 82 games. But the way that they're playing right now, forget about what they're going to do in the regular season. Somebody needs to figure out who the hell's going to beat them in the playoffs.
I got to say, if Klay Thompson cannot play Friday night at Boston, I think it could end there.
You're right.
Boston is really good. They have Chicago at home tonight, then they have a day off before that game Friday night. So it's tough, man, when you're down to just Steph and
Danny Ainge stockpiled picks, draft picks, moved in a different direction, got Brad Stevens doing one hell of a job. They really deserve a lot of credit in Boston. They really do.
Mr. Immaculate, Downtown Stevie A. Brown. It's been real. Shaq, appreciate you for that. I'll never let him live it
Go
down.
back to sleep. You know you are.
2 days after Adrian Peterson said the Minnesota Vikings were outcoached in so many ways and outplayed too in a 38-7 loss to the Seahawks, AP stood by those comments while reminding reporters he also said he could have done more to change the outcome of the game.
You want to be able to, you know, when your number is called, to be able to make plays, you know. So, of course, you know, I would be frustrated when you think about, you know, 8 carries, you know. We're focusing now on, you know, on Arizona and, you know, trying to get this thing back on the right track. I kind of addressed how I felt about the situation. I would rather people point that out than, you know, things about carries because those are opportunities that, you know, could have changed the game as well, you know. But I guess that wouldn't, you know, cause, you know, that much of a ruffle. It just gives people something to talk about.
Darren, how do you feel about players saying they were out-coached publicly?
No, listen, in his defense, the camera's in his face right after the game, and he did list a lot of things. He even listed his faults going into that, and then he said, and we got out-coached in the end. Listen, I think the one thing you have to do as a player is after a game, you always talk about yourself, your own performance. You never blast anyone else. I don't care if it's the cornerback, the quarterback, left tackle, whoever it is, you take onus on and blame on yourself, first of all, period. To go into the coaching, this is not the first time I've heard this. I mean, this is happening more often than you think. When players are going at their coaches or putting the onus on the coaches after losses. The last thing you want to hear, especially from your leader, which is Adrian Peterson, is a shot at the coach. Because not only is it Adrian Peterson that's able to say this, now it's that third running back who's not getting in, who has a bad game, who's going to put the onus on the coach afterwards. I know Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer coached me with the Dallas Cowboys for 10 years. You can't tell me that Mike Zimmer and Adrian Peterson haven't had this conversation about this. No way, because Mike Zimmer is a guy who's in your face. He's going to make sure that we're okay, we're on a level ground, but you can't say these certain things. They've had that conversation because I know Mike Zimmer. Adrian Peterson is absolutely wrong in this situation. Absolutely wrong. And any player, I don't care if it's Peterson or any player throughout the NFL, after a game, the last thing you can say, the last thing you should ever say is to blame a coach.
Did anybody ever blame Jimmy Johnson in your locker room?
Absolutely
Not once. And
Get
I was
cut.
there all
Find
those.
yourself
You'd
on the
be
street.
gone,
Yes.
gone. Did anybody, even as bad as it got under Coach Switzer that first year, did anybody ever publicly criticize? I don't remember it. Okay, I am so with you on this. It's never a good idea, especially if you're taking a selfish shot at the coach. You didn't use me correctly. I deserve more than 8 carries, even though Adrian then went more expansive yesterday and said, I should have cut this run back, I should have taken that run outside, and maybe I would have broken both of them. So he did take some. He was self-critical also. But the only time I've ever seen this work is when a good team has gone completely south and the leader of the team, with full support of everybody in the locker room, steps up and criticizes a coach or tries to get the coach fired. I'll go all the way back to Magic Johnson and Paul Westhead. This is way, way back when Magic just said he's not the right fit for our team, and our team is so much better than we're playing right now. The great Magic Johnson basically said, we need a new leader, and they got a new leader. Okay, that worked for me. That wasn't a selfish act, that was a team act. That's just me. I'm going as broad as I can get, but with Ezekiel Elliott the other day, that was just selfish, and I was surprised that Urban Meyer let him get away with that, because he shouldn't have, but he didn't really, I don't guess he punished him at all. And Ezekiel
didn't punish
came
him
back,
at all and came and rushed for over 200
and he did.
yards
He had a
the next
big game
week.
at Michigan. He did. Okay, so I guess it worked out for them, but I thought that undermined a little bit of Urban Meyer's authority in the locker room. I would think some players would say, man, you let Zeke get away with that? Because it was a blast, man. Okay, your thoughts?
I have several emotions on this. Number one, I completely agree with you that it was inappropriate for Adrian Peterson to do what he did. There's no doubt about that. And with the job that Zimmer has done in Minnesota, he didn't deserve that.
Right.
He didn't deserve that, because there are weeks, were you blaming Zimmer when you rushed for 45 yards? Right. A few weeks ago when Green Bay held you to 45 yards? So he was wrong to do that. No question about it. The other thing that I say about Adrian Peterson, and remember, I think that his transgression was an isolated incident, albeit extreme. The whole child abuse scandal and whatever. The fact of the matter is, unless you can show me a pattern of behavior, he made an egregious mistake with his child, and that's all that it should be. But what Adrian Peterson has to accept is that when he comes out and calls out his coach, there are going to be others, not me, not you, not you, not you, but there are going to be others that say, this guy got a lot of nerves. Right. Not only because of what you put the organization through, but because of when you were whining about wanting to be gone because you couldn't get your money. There was one person who stood up for you publicly and was like, you ain't going nowhere, because we want you, we need you, and by the way, please give him his money. And that would be that same guy, Coach Zimmer. That's true. All right? That's number two. So there's a little bit of, a lack of gratitude there. So that makes Adrian Peterson look bad. But the one thing that I will say, pointing the finger at all of us, as it pertains to guys calling out their coach. No, we don't advocate you doing that. Yes, you need to respect authority. People who are in decision-making positions are never going to be flawless, but they have the responsibility and the pressure to make a decision, and sometimes they're going to get it wrong. And that should be okay with you, because you're not perfect either, and you should get over that. However, we have to recognize and appreciate the fact that we put cameras and microphones in these people's faces, and we literally ask for the truth, and then we punish them when they give it to us. Now, it's one thing to disagree with what Adrian Peterson said. It's another thing entirely, and I'm not saying we're doing that, but I heard a lot of people doing that Monday. Just excoriating the dude and using that as an excuse to get on all of his supposed and alleged transgressions and beyond. And I think that's unfair to him, and I think that's unfair to a lot of guys, especially coming from the media. We're asking you to give us the truth. We want to get in that locker room as soon as we possibly can to get your raw, authentic emotion. And when you give it to us, it's one thing for us to report it and to say, this is what he said. All right, we agree or disagree. It's another thing to use it as an excuse to demean an individual. Like, again, we're not doing that. But there are, you know, because, you know, obviously, you know, I'm in the car a lot and all of that stuff, always listening to talk radio, and, you know, you turn on the TV and you watch the NFL shows and you listen to people talk, and they've been going off about Adrian Peterson and the whole child abuse scandal just because they didn't like what he said about Zimmer. And I think that's wrong. That is. That's not fair to him. If you got a problem with what he said about Zimmer, then keep it to Zimmer.
Okay.
And that's what I, you know,
And that's what I'm saying. We did that, but a lot of people are not, Skip.
But so all I heard was a sound bite. Honestly, that's all I heard was that sound bite that he took a shot at Zimmer and the coaching staff. That's all I heard. But when I heard the entire sound, I heard him throw himself under the bus.
He did.
I mean, listen, I get it. I still think that there's a part of you as the leader of this team, and Adrian Peterson is the leader of this football team. Right. He is the guy.
Yeah.
You have to go to, if there's a problem, you have to go to the coaches. You have to go to Zimmer and discuss it. You're a bigger man when you do that. But when you let it out after the game, Deion Sanders used to always tell me, I'd be emotional after a loss. He'd always tell me, go to the bathroom, get it out, yell it out before the reporters come on.
Well, that's good.
Right?
I didn't even know that. See? That's why you never said anything after it. Seriously.
I'm covering the Philadelphia 76ers during their run to the finals in 01 against the Lakers. And there was a moment where Larry Brown was going off, and he said something about George Lynch, who's now his assistant in Memphis. George Lynch, really rock-hard player, you know, real rugged defender and what have you. And we walk up to George Lynch, and George Lynch said, he said what? And asked us to read the quote to him again. And my former, you know, compatriot, Phil Jasner, the Philadelphia Daily News, God rest his soul, he passed away years ago, missed that man. He sat up there, and right in front of us, he told George Lynch what Larry Brown said. George Lynch said, excuse me, before I say a word, I need to talk to my coach.
Yeah.
And walked away.
Okay.
And went and talked to the coach.
Okay. Got it.
Great conversation. Coming up next, you are staying here with us. Des Bryant still isn't sure what a catch is, and now he wants to do something about it. We'll tell you what that is after the break. Stay with us. This is First Take.